everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Wisconsin Weather Experts here on Fox Local, as well as our Fox 6 YouTube page. Thanks for joining us. It's Tuesday. A little rainy, still a little humid.
It's been coming down pretty heavy in a few spots, and that humidity, of course, is feeding that, and it could feed some pretty strong storms a little later on today as well. We've got a lot going on. It's been a busy pattern of late between the heat and, of course, the humidity, the heat advisories and warnings, and yesterday with some severe weather. To unpack some of that a little later on, we'll take a look at some of the videos and pictures and things that we've got coming in. And we've got the potential, again, for some flooding. We have our own meteorologist, Lisa Michaels, out and about today, and she is getting the latest here. How perfect in a way that we have this rain coming down as you're about to talk flooding.
Yeah, you know what? And the rain, I'm telling you, Rob and Steph, it's a heavy rain. We're going to flip some of the cameras around here and you can see, yes, the rain is coming down, and we've been tracking, of course, the pooling starting to occur on some of the sides of the roads. Of course, that's spitting up under our tires there. One of the things we're tracking is the windshield wipers being used at a higher speed. We're also noticing visibility starting to drop just because of the heavier rain that's coming down. And we're actually by Estabrook Park. So we're going to come up to one of the little areas along the river. It's hard to see the river just because of the fact that the trees are going to block it. But there is a spot that we've been tracking on our drive where we have been dealing with a little pond. And while people are out there and we're still starting to see that water building up on the roadways, what we are talking about is the flooding potential. We can even kind of hear that water spewing under the wheels here. In terms of the flooding, we have a big tropical air mass, I'm sure that you've noticed over the past few days. And that moisture, I don't know if you can hear it and see it, but the moisture
can see it.
Is
you just made quite the wake there in the neighborhood.
Yeah. So we do have some people out here. We're keeping a close eye not only, again, on the rivers, but some of the bodies of water that are going to continue to fill up with water, especially when we have these heavier downpours, which we've just experienced. This is going to be on and off throughout the upcoming days. Now, river levels, not bad, but according to the Weather Prediction Center, we are under a chance for flash flooding today. So as the rain is going to continue to fall down here locally and across southeast Wisconsin for the upcoming days, there's the threat for maybe some more flash flooding in some areas as well. One of the things that we focus on when it comes to rain is something called our PWAT, our precipitable water in the atmosphere. So if we were to take all of the moisture within a little cube from the clouds down to the ground, if we were to rain all that moisture out, how much would accumulate near the surface? And right now, for today, we are looking at somewhere of having 1.8 to 2, which theoretically means if we were to rain all that out, we could get 2 inches of rain. So we are looking at having higher amounts of moisture within the atmosphere. So if we were to rain all that out, that yes, we are tracking a lot of that moisture that would impact areas on the ground, therefore creating more rain. We're actually trying to go through a little bit of a puddle here as well, so you can see it.
Well, stay safe because, of course, a lot of what we talk about with flooding is staying safe while driving in it. And, of course, wet roads are challenging, and obviously you know well enough to turn around and don't drown. But please keep us updated, Lisa. We'll get the latest, of course, and let us know what you see when you're driving out there in the areas. I think one thing to point out as well is it's a good time to maybe, if you haven't already, clean up the storm drain in your neighborhood because that can cause some localized, albeit short-term flooding, localized flooding, and that can cause damage as well. We'll be checking back in with meteorologist Lisa Michaels as she continues out in our live truck this morning. But just to drive home the point, if you haven't seen this video yet, check this out. This was the roof at the Madison Woodman's. Partial roof collapse there, caught on camera, happened just before 9 last night in the middle of a 2.5-inch rainfall that Madison got. Official cause not necessarily released yet, but it's pretty obvious the water played a part in that. It did happen in the middle of that downpour. There may have also been structural issues, but the rain obviously contributed. There are no reports of injuries, and the store is now closed, as you would imagine.
Just very dramatic video.
It's pouring in there.
It is.
I'm assuming it's a flat-roofed building,
yeah.
Which tends to collect water, and the downspouts that they use in those, can only keep up to a certain extent. And then likely if there was any kind of maybe a misshape in the flat, if it wasn't built to run off to the sides, if there was a dip in the roof, it all ponded there, and water's heavy.
Absolutely, and we saw multiple reports of flash flooding in the Madison area. We saw a lot on roadways, even near the Capitol building. So this was, a big issue as some of those storms with very heavy rain made their way on through.
They got 2 or 3 inches in a very short period of time yesterday.
Yeah.
So from there to heat.
Yeah, the heat. Let's recap what we experienced the last couple of days. Okay, the extreme heat caused buckling roads yesterday in St. Francis. Crews had to close a stretch of roadway along Howard Avenue near Caulfield Avenue. Roads buckle due to the thermal expansion of pavement, usually concrete. Other surfaces are, asphalt is a stretchier is not the word, but it has, they can move a little better.
It is more elastic, or or more malleable.
So these happen during periods of extreme heat. When the temperatures rise, the pavement expands, and if the gaps in the road are not big enough, then the pavement can buckle upwards.
Right.
And
just kind of pops from there.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we had severe storms that rolled through during parts of the day yesterday, and just got these pictures in a few minutes ago, actually, from a viewer out on Pewaukee Lake. Look at the damage done to that pontoon boat there. According to that viewer, 18 boats were flipped over. And yeah, this is damage from Pewaukee Lake from yesterday's storms. This is a story that we're just digging into in the last few minutes, so we'll continue to get some information on that, but obviously related to yesterday's storms that were very strong and had incredibly strong downburst wind gusts that we could see again today. Yeah,
we even had the outflow move through too for areas who weren't under the severe thunderstorm warnings at all, but even parts of Milwaukee County as the outflow before the storms rolled in that took some tree branches down, so we all kind of felt at least a little bit of the wind.
Right,
yesterday.
And only briefly got a break from the heat. The humidity is back, but going back to heat farther to the south, still a problem.
Yeah, exactly. So this is more of that road buckling again. This is just insane video.
I mean, it buckled right in front of that driver. There was very little they could do.
And so the gentleman who was taking this video had been watching a little bubble in the road, which is why he's kind of off to the side using his phone, and he caught it. He caught the road right as it buckled, and it was just awful timing as their car was just trying to drive. But this is a more extreme example of road buckling. We just showed you that one in St. Francis where it's a lot of times just some gravel that comes loose, but this one again, just very extreme
and
from the heat.
Watching it pop there on that video was just a bizarre thing to watch happen in real time.
Oh yeah.
And again, I feel badly for that driver because as you see here in the video, it's pretty good. You can see it raising up a little bit.
Yep.
And then it's almost like that other car kind of triggered it.
Right,
then,
exactly.
Wow.
I mean, the car is airborne.
Right? I mean, we all had thought of that when we were kids,
Right, exactly.
Dukes of Hazzard or
we
whatever.
make ramps.
Yeah. But no, that's not what you want your car to do. All right, a lot of this is all part of a bigger phenomenon, a bigger pattern, of course. We're all connected to the global weather patterns, and we're finally, feeling a little bit of relief, at least, from some of that heat, although it may be short term. But that does come with a bit of an active pattern, a lot more in the way of daily thunderstorms like we saw yesterday. Chief Meteorologist Tom Wachs is going to take a deeper dive into our pattern change.
Well, we've seen a pattern change in our weather from the stifling weekend and the temperatures in the 90s into early this week to now a cooler, wetter pattern. So what's going on? Well, we've got to go up to jet stream level at about 30,000 feet. The jet stream is what guides storm systems across the country and separates the warm air to the south from cooler air to the north. Now, throughout the weekend, we had this big ridge of high pressure. This is the main section here of the jet stream, and it was well to our north, which allowed that heat and humidity to come in courtesy of those southwesterly winds. But what's happening now is this jet stream is starting to flatten out a bit, and that is doing two things for us. Number one, cooling us down, and number two, it's allowing perturbations or little waves, little storm systems to traverse across it, increasing our chances for showers and thunderstorms. And what you'll notice as we go throughout the week, we don't see any major ridges of high pressure building in like we had last weekend, but we will see a gradual warm up late in the week and into the weekend. But at least as of right now, not seeing that huge surge of warm air coming back into play. It certainly will as we go into July and August, but at least in the short term, not quite seeing that. So let's talk temperatures here. Now, as we look back to Sunday, we were in the 90s here, but you see the cooler air off to the west. Are you ready for this? It was snowing in parts of Montana and Idaho on Sunday. Well, we were in the 90s. Wild, right? Well, let's go into this afternoon, and you'll notice how we cool things down, right? So we're seeing a cooler air mass settling in, and that continues all the way through Thursday. A little bit of a warm-up on Friday, and especially by the weekend. But what I'm showing you here with this graphic is kind of a generalized air mass view. So it's showing where it's cooler, where it's warmer, but it is not taking into account Lake Michigan. What do I mean by that? Well, let's take a look here at a SkyVision Plus run that will show the wind coming in off of the lake here this afternoon, and that is really important. A lot of folks will ask us, why do we show the wind direction and the wind speed in miles per hour so often? And the answer is because wind direction is so critical, not only here in eastern Wisconsin, but up to the north as well. Folks along Lake Superior, you get that wind off the north, yeah, you feel it, right? So being surrounded by these lakes, wind direction is so important. Now, last weekend, we had those strong winds out of the southwest, right? It just ushered in that warm, humid air mass. Well, that map I showed you a minute ago with all the colors on it, that's that air mass view. But it's not taking into account when those winds come in off the lake. And with the water temperatures in the 60s, that is also contributing to the cool down. So I bring this up because as meteorologists, yes, we start looking at the jet stream level, right? And then we start looking at, okay, where are the air masses? What are they doing? But then we have to look all the way down to the surface, of course, as well to find out, hey, is the wind coming in off the lake? Because that can mean a much different day in Milwaukee than we had just a couple of days ago when the winds were out of the southwest.
So there you go, some changes ahead for the next couple of days, but we did see a lot of heat for 3 straight days.
3 days straight, and it's going to come back at the end of the week.
Yes.
So from that bigger overview, we're going to drill down a bit and we turn it over to Steph.
Yeah, let's recap what we've seen the last couple of days, and then of course we'll look ahead. But each day, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, the high temperature, 94 degrees in the Milwaukee area. So no record high temperatures, but we did end up breaking a record high-low temperature Sunday morning, and then we tied that same one on Monday, which just means even our overnight lows or overnight temperatures were so warm, they only dropped to middle and upper 70s in the Milwaukee area. And a lot of times in prolonged heat, that's what really causes the issues, the fact that we don't have relief during our overnight hours. Now, a lot of that heat has made its way out towards the east. Look at a current temperature in New York City right now, 102. And now quite often in bigger cities, we see some more of that heat, that urban heat island effect is what we like to call it. 77 in Milwaukee, just south of us, 90 in St. Louis, and then you can see that a little bit more comfortable, cooler air out towards the west with the Dakotas now in the 70s. Now, likely still going to see some 80s across the upper plains today. So, you know, relatively speaking, we're still mild. We're still above average temperature-wise, but a huge change from the extreme heat we had the last couple of days that is, again, now impacting the eastern U.S. as well as the central and southern plains. That's where all of those heat advisories, excessive heat warnings are for the next couple of days. Ours expired yesterday evening on time, so now we can just look ahead to some slightly lower temperatures, still some humidity, and a couple of different rounds of showers and thunderstorms. A very unsettled forecast, as we just talked about earlier with Tom. Forecast high temperatures across the state, still in likely the upper 70s and low 80s, so very seasonal for this time of year. We'll really feel the relief tomorrow. In fact, later today, after we see some of these rain showers pushing through, at least in southeast Wisconsin, we're going to have a lake breeze kicking in, and that's going to pull in some cooler air, which then we'll continue to see throughout Wednesday. In fact, lakeshore communities may only see low 70-degree highs for tomorrow afternoon. But then notice, that's brief. We start to climb the rest of the week back to the middle, the upper 80s, and over the weekend, we very well could see 90s returning, especially on Sunday. Now, dew points are still going to stay relatively high, too. You know, we talked about this yesterday. Even though temperatures are going to be a bit lower in the days ahead, we're not going to be able to shake that humidity. Dew points will be a little bit lower Wednesday, but still those upper 60s, middle and upper 60s, that is, still pretty humid, but dew points will continue to climb back to 70s the rest of the week and on into the weekend. So almost doing it all over again, if only for a couple of days towards the end of the week and into the weekend. unsettled pattern is thanks to the stationary front, I should say, across our area as well as down towards the southwest. A stationary front doesn't move for the most part, and that's going to keep the moisture around. The reason why dew points are still going to be a bit on the high side, and it's also going to keep the chance for showers and thunderstorms in pretty much daily through Friday. Right now we have a decent storm passing through southern Milwaukee and northern Racine County, just about out over the lake, produced really heavy rainfall, potentially some stronger wind gusts. So we do still have the chance in anything else we see later today to see some stronger gusts, though I do think the heavy rain with these high tropical dew points are going to be the bigger story. You can see more pop-ups now across Kenosha County, some lighter rain up towards the north, and more coming together out towards the west. Here's that one cell that we were just talking about that had a special weather statement on it. Now it's just about over Lake Michigan, so shouldn't really be a huge problem. With the fact that we have thunderstorm potential here the next couple of days, the severe threat is not huge, but it is at least there, especially in some of our southern communities. Today, there's a marginal risk for parts of south central as well as southeast Wisconsin, meaning a stray strong to severe thunderstorm is still a possibility. But look at the rain outlook from the Weather Prediction Center. Notice how it's more so in that level 2 slight. So we do have the potential for heavy rainfall at times. Flash flooding is not out of the question either. We saw that yesterday localized in the Madison area. So going forward today, we'll likely have some dry time after this batch of rain moves out in southeast Wisconsin. But you can notice statewide, especially central and southern parts of the state, we still could see more development on and off throughout the rest of the afternoon. So just keep the rain gear handy. And then overnight tonight, we could see just a few showers here or there. Wednesday, same story, though a lot of that rain favoring northern Wisconsin. Still could have some here down south. Maybe a stronger line of storms later Wednesday night into Thursday, and we just do it over and over again with those on and off showers and storm chances Thursday on into Friday, with maybe some stronger lines later during our nighttime hours. So just gear up for an active week ahead. We'll continue to keep you updated, of course, as we deal with this pretty much every single day. The good news is that Saturday is trending dry right now, but later Sunday, we could have a few more storms returning to the forecast. So keep the umbrella handy. That's my advice for now. Here's a live look outside right now where you can see the rain is still falling at the airport in Milwaukee. We have plenty more Wisconsin weather experts coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back, everybody, to Wisconsin Weather Experts. We've dealt with a lot of heat the last couple of days, but we have a question for you. Maybe a question for you, Rob.
Yeah. Well, I have a feeling we'll have different opinions on this, but we'll see where this goes. We'll see where this goes.
We are wondering about the perfect temperature. So just think about that for a second. According to Martha Stewart's website, I should say, the magic number is 70 degrees, and that is year-round, mind you. So writers say it's low enough to keep you cool during the summer and high enough to heat your home in the winter without breaking the bank. I would have to agree with this. I think maybe that's it's perfect for the winter for me. For the summer, I would say it's maybe a little low. I think we keep ours at 72 right now.
Yeah, that's super low.
Right?
I mean, I'm not sure where Martha Stewart lives. I thought she was back east, but maybe if you're from a certain part of the country, you needed cooler and whatever. But like, there's no way 70 would feel cold in my house.
I agree. I think 72 feels cold sometimes.
I get pushback from my roommate, who's also my son. When it's 78, and he has the basement level room, so he's a little cooler, and he'll come up, and I'll get to like, what are you doing up here? But like for me, like 76 is good.
Yeah.
I don't need to go much below 76, and I think it's more about, for me, the sticky factor. I've always got a dehumidifier running in the house to keep the house dry. I don't like it to get damp.
Yeah,
I'd rather be warm and dry than damp. And then in the winter, 70's way high. I would be boiling.
Really?
Yeah, 68's fine.
We have one of those old houses though, where like
True,
every room is a different temperature,
Okay,
and so
I get that.
the number on the thermostat is just a number. Every room is different.
Very true, and because depending on the house and the airflow in the house, where they put that thermostat can have a huge impact. Mine happens to be in the hallway leading to the bedrooms, which is smart because it's kind of where you want to maintain the temperature for your bedroom. But it doesn't mean the living room's going to feel like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean the basement's going to feel like that, the rec room, whatever you want to call it. So everybody's got their own number. You find your magic number. Martha says 70. I don't know.
To each their own. We'll
Martha seems to know a lot about a lot of things. I think maybe she should stay out of the weather department,
yeah,
though.
I'm good with that.
Unless she comes and gives us some renovation ideas.
Yes.
She does have a pretty good eye for such things.
Or cooks or something like that.
That's true. It brings her friend Snoop Dogg along.
There you go.
There you go. They like to hang out together. All right, well, we're going to have a quick break here, and then when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about our new video podcast, which is up now online, the ISO Bar, and we've got more Wisconsin weather experts on the other side.
Welcome back, everybody. Rob, fill us in on this new podcast type show.
Yeah, it's basically a video podcast that
on.
you'll be able to find on Fox Local and, of course, on the FOX6 YouTube channel as well. The premise of this almost sounds like a bad dad joke. Four meteorologists walk into a bar.
I love it.
And that's kind of how the idea came about, right? It was four regional meteorologists, one Minneapolis, one Detroit, one Chicago, and myself, just sitting down every couple of weeks, the same way you would with your buds at a bar and just talking shop, and it became what we call the ISO bar, which is a meteorological term for an equal area of pressure. And of course, we've put together 26 minutes of us talking about weather nerd stuff, and we're going to try to do that for you at least every couple of weeks to let you go even deeper. Here's a little taste of what the new episode has. This wildfire smoke, the Canada wildfires have been giving us these day after day after day of hazy skies, but some of the worst air quality on record in Chicago.
That and in the world for a couple days earlier in the month. So that's really surprising, right? Because you have your typical areas that typically have some of the worst air quality in the world on any given day. And Chicago was right up there with some of those cities. So it was a really big talk of the town. And for a lot of people just wondering what exactly are we breathing in? So I actually spent quite a bit of time talking to different experts and doctors. And we talked to this one doctor from the University of Utah named Dr. Perry. He's known as Dr. Dust. So he studied dust and smoke particles and things like that. And I learned so much from him. And it was really fun to be able to share that with the viewers on just how long the smoke particles can actually stay in the atmosphere. So our bodies, they're designed to filter out dust and larger particles, right? But the reason that everybody's so concerned about smoke is because those are really fine particles that can bypass our systems that, are kind of built in for us, our nose hairs, the mucus, lining our nose and our throats and things like that to try and catch stuff before it reaches our lungs.
There you go. Nose hairs and meteorology all in one podcast. Check it out on YouTube and on Fox Local. We had a great time meeting folks down at Summerfest as well. We appreciate the meet and greet stop-bys. And yes, one last live look. Our live truck is out in the rain, keeping an eye out for the flooding. We'll keep you updated here on Fox 6 and Fox Local.